everybody, I'm Robert. Welcome back to the Nürburgring. Welcome to the GT2. It's a wet day today, as you can see, and honestly, it's a day that would have been a lot of fun in the GR Yaris, but I've eliminated that as being an immediate possibility with my money shift. So, yeah, I guess I really can't complain being stuck in this GT2. I thought I'd go out, do a little bit of a lap, and talk to you guys about the status of the GR Yaris. So, where are we at? It has been taken to Katzweiler. Herman from Popup Nurburg, friend of ours, came over on Friday, picked up the car for us, and transported it to Katzweiler, to Toyota Hen, where that's where we bought the car. They're going to do all the repairs and everything like that. And we were very curious to see what it was, and since we knew this wasn't going to be a warranty repair, this car is so much fun in the wet. I've not really driven, I almost have to say, any laps in this car in the wet. This might be one of my first laps of this car in the wet. I'm really enjoying it, actually. This is really cool. You know, I did about almost 30 laps with it last weekend, so I got used to the balance. That was obviously all in the dry, but now I'm getting a feel for this in the wet. It's very confidence inspiring. I have to take it easy because I am talking and, you know, not going to completely push it, but this is pretty cool. So anyhow, we were curious because the car is not getting fixed under warranty, so it meant that we really weren't too worried about maybe opening up a valve cover. So Thursday night, George and Misha got together, opened up a valve cover and started looking around what was in, what was loose, what was missing, and sure enough, the damage was very, very close to what I expected. In my initial video that I did at the studio, I said that I thought there was going to be a situation with the rocker arm on the intake valve that ultimately then caused a little bit more damage, and that's really what it was. That's what happened. So they took the valve cover off, got to looking inside, and sure enough, the rocker arm, which, yes, there's a rocker arm in certain dual overhead cam engines. The GR Yaris is one of them. The rocker arm actually was completely laying in the cylinder head up basically near where the oil runoff is, back down into the block, and the valve spring was completely loose and just laying in there. The valve, you couldn't move the valve anymore, and you could see the valve retainer obviously, and then all of the ball parts of the bearing, the round spheres of the bearings that hold the rocker arm in place, were also just essentially disintegrated in the top of the cylinder head. So what happened then? How did I run 5 laps as normal after the would you say the money shift or the miss shift? How did it run so long and then fail on the track afterwards? So I'll tell you exactly what I think happened, and it's like the story hasn't changed. I think it's the same as after I broke it. I ran it, I over revved it, shifted 5th to 2nd. As I came down in gear, I felt the clutch dragging, and I felt the engine braking a little bit too much. For those of you that are curious, this is where I pulled off the track, actually. So you can see right here to the left, this orange piece, that's where I pulled off and got towed from. I over revved it, felt the engine braking, got back in the clutch, and didn't over rev it too much, because had I sent it to 15,000 RPM, which is probably capable with that gear ratio differential, if I would have sent it up to 15,000, we probably would have had a valve through a piston, and we would have had oil on the ground. It would have been a catastrophic failure. Luckily, I think we can be clear, I damaged it, but luckily I was able to prevent it from going further. When that happened, it damaged the bearings in the rocker arms. So basically the rocker arm bearings were the first point to go. They were the first fail point, if you would, and they went. And it didn't go in a way that meant the rocker arm fell off or immediately got cocked on an angle or anything like that. But what it meant was that something was damaged, and it was now just a matter of time before it was going to fail permanently. I was able to do 5 more laps. The damage was probably getting worse and worse over those 5 laps, but the nail in the coffin was that night it froze, it went down to -7 degrees. Now pause here. Tom, put in me on the GR Yaris going through Brightside. For all of you that wonder why we slow down here, it's because exactly what you're looking at now, me on a trailer going through Brightside. All right, as you can see, there's not a ton of space there for you to squeeze through if you're on a send-it lap. And I'm broken down in the Yaris on the back of a tow truck. All right, guys, GoPro out. So that means audio is gone, inboard video is gone, and we're now going through the race navigator, which is also not ideal because the audio is not going to be as great. So I do apologize about that, but we can thank GoPro for, I've got the air conditioning on right now. It's 5.5 degrees outside, and it's just overheated shooting in 4K. So, but anyhow, we're here now. It's -7 degrees at night. I think that things basically froze overnight. I heated them up in the morning for my first lap. I got the whole French, and by the time I got the whole French, the engine had heated up, and whatever was failing completely cracked and was gone. The bearing started to let go. The pin for the rocker arm started sliding out, and as the pin for the rocker arm started sliding out, the rocker, which would normally be straight, parallel, got cocked to the side, and you can see that because the inner sides of the arms actually are worn down and ground down by making contact. So, with the post that they sit on. So basically this rocker arm was cocked to the side, started causing damage, and eventually in one of its strokes, it hit the retainer on the spring just perfectly. There's a clip that basically clips onto the valve and then clips onto the spring, and that's what holds the valve and the spring together. And that retainer basically was sent off and broke. And when that happened, that was the end of it. The spring was no longer holding the valve up, the rocker arm was completely free, and the valve dropped down, kissed the piston. It must have done it very lightly because, as I mentioned, you can't, with the borescope, see any immediate damage to the piston. So that piston, again, now we're running at a low RPM, so that's lucky, kissed the valve, bent the valve a little bit, and wedged it up in the valve guide so it will no longer move up and down, because we can't move the valve up and down by hand, unfortunately. So that's my take on what's happened. I don't know if anything can really come out that's going to show otherwise, because the evidence is pretty conclusive that that was the order. I'm not surprised. That's what the symptoms sort of showed me, I guess I could say. But yeah, I'm looking forward to now getting the head off the motor. From my days of racing and building motors and doing all this stuff, it definitely was not, this is not damage that would require an entire motor to be replaced. So I really hope that Toyota has some parts and is willing to, you know, actually give valves and springs and retainers and things like that. It doesn't just say any damage to engine internals means a whole new motor, because I think it's completely unnecessary. If they say that, there's a good chance that I'll take the motor out of Toyota dealer and take it over to a proper engine builder and have them repair it. We'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, we're at Brunchen. See the people out here enjoying a little bit of outside space and getting out of their houses. Things starting to open up again here in Germany and at the Nürburgring. Really nice to see everyone out and about, just enjoying themselves a little bit. Much deserved, I think, for all of us after a year. But thank you guys for all the support on the channel. Amazed at how many people are actually subbing to this channel and enjoying the conversations we have and enjoying the things that we do. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate your feedback. And so Ice Curva, coming out of Ice Curva, a little bit slick there. But yeah, so I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and yeah, let's go ahead and just finish off the lap. I'm done talking now, so we'll go ahead and get through Fanskarten here, down to Fanskarten 2, and yeah, just round this thing out. Thanks again, guys. Enjoy.